Welcome to the 2025 History San Diego Summer Show, The Rise and Fall of the California Theater. I'm George Farrar. I'm pleased to bring you a history of San Diego's California Theater. In 2019, I moved to the San Diego area from Jacksonville, Florida, and that summer I stepped off of a trolley downtown, intent on enjoying some great historical architecture. For over a decade, I've filmed and photographed historic landmarks all over. One of the first places in downtown San Diego I admired from the street was the California Theater building. The architectural style of the building, Spanish colonial revival, intrigued my interest. I first saw the historic Caliente mural. It advertised horse racing in Old Mexico at the Agua Caliente racetrack in Tijuana. I kept walking down the sidewalk and was stunned to see how richly engraved the building was, and to see media on it, back then, advertising a new C Street, showing what was planned to replace it. Over the past 6 years, I've taken a lot of photos and film of the theater and profiled it on my old Exploring with George series on YouTube. Only seeing the prospects for this old grand theater fade even further away as I keep clicking and filming. So while we wait for a new C Street, we're going to take my creative obsession and run with it. We'll begin with the rise of the theater, which opened at 4th Avenue and C Street around the time that sound was added to the movies. We take a look inside and outside of the theater over its years of operation from 1927 until 1990, and then beyond. When it opened, the theater offered movies and vaudeville. By around 1937, the vaudeville, the stage performances went away, and it began presenting just first-run movies. By the late 1970s and 1980s, there were live concerts that rocked the aging theater. The movies ended around 1976. The concerts ended around 1990, and the Wurlitzer organ was removed. While it has not fallen to rubble, it has fallen to a state of disrepair since then, beset by vandalism and rot, which is currently presided over by a negligent owner, an Australian firm named the Caden Property Group. Hapless city officials, edgy urban explorers, the homeless, disadvantaged downtown dwellers, and dreamy developers with beautiful drawings of potential futures and profits. Recent developments in this saga came about just days before my recording of this show, and I'll talk with you later about what's happening. We'll explore what remains and analyze the potential for redevelopment going forward given where things stand. First, let's get started from the beginning. The 2,200-seat California Theater opened on April 22, 1927 as the new California Theater, since at that time there was already a theater in San Diego at 5th Avenue and G Street named the California. In 1930, that theater would be renamed the Aztec, and so from then on, we would only have one California Theater in San Diego, this one. We have the newspaper advertisements from the 1927 opening. Really impressive. The first movie was actually a silent film entitled Venus of Venice, a film about the misadventures of a young woman in Venice, Italy. In 1929, we see the movie, called the talkie back then, for having sound. We see this movie, Madame X, which is playing at the theater. And we see a lively street scene. Let's now go inside and look at some of the original decor and furnishings. The interior is just as ornate as the exterior. Beautiful furnishings back then. Of course, you could always get refreshments in the lobby. And so it's something that's incredible to marvel at the craftsmanship that was put into this building, into this theater. The intricacy, the absolute beauty. A huge 2,200-seat theater, projectors. Back in 2019, I stumbled upon this mid-20th century photo of the California Theater, and it inspired me to keep filming, keep photographing the California Theater, to present these shows. This photo led to this show, basically. It really inspired me to really explore and to take a look all over the place, through all the media, YouTube, and what I found on the street. So let's go back out on the street and let's take a look. From this street view in the 1950s, we see there's a tavern on the corner. There's a retail presence in the area around the California Theater. And so this is a chance for people to not only get out to see a movie, but they can also eat and be entertained and also just do all the necessary things in life right in that general area. And what a beautiful photo that is. And so the Beatles come along, the British rock band The Beatles come along in the 1960s with a movie called A Hard Day's Night, and their fans, their San Diego fans, descended upon the California Theater in August 1964. And so you get a chance to really see what's going on back then. So in 1976, Mann Theaters, the theater operators at the time, decided they weren't going to sell movies anymore. So the theater began to change hands. It was bought by a businessman, and there would be these live concerts that would happen in the late 70s and the 1980s. And at one point, there was the band Devo, the new wave band Devo, played at the California Theater on August 20th, 1980. And so there's a chance for us to see a different California Theater back then. But then 1990 came, and that is the fall of the theater. At that point, it goes abandoned, and it goes dark. Let's now shed some light on what could possibly happen with the California Theater in the future. I've been incredibly fascinated with a lot of the different plans, the different ideas, and I think it still is an open question as to what actually is really going to happen concretely. But I want to start by showing you just simply one more photo of the theater in its current state. And I was particularly intrigued by this video, and that's why I snapped a photo of it and wanted to include it in our show today, because it shows natural sunlight pouring into a place of darkness. And in it, you can see certainly the issues people talk about when they talk about the structure itself. But, of course, you can still see some of that intricacy, some of that craftsmanship from the 1920s, that beautiful architecture, and you wonder where are things going to go from here. Well, when I put together the summer show, I have been working on it since late July, and only a couple days prior to this very moment where I'm talking with you today, I happened to see that there's been some developments in what's happening on the property. And so, quoting from NBC San Diego, the resolution of the lawsuit filed by the city 2 years ago holds that the nearly century-old abandoned building on C Street must be listed for sale by the end of the month, after which its owners will have until the end of next year to finalize the sale of the property. If the sale does not go through by then, the building's owner, Caden Property Group, will have 90 days to obtain permits for a controlled demolition. So you may think that at this point, I might go, hooray, wow, we're in the clear. Something eventually will happen. Well, people have been speculating and talking about the future of the California Theater since 1990. And I termed the title of the show, The Rise and Fall of the California Theater, because in many ways, structurally and commercially, it has fallen. But can it not get back up? That always is the question that keeps driving San Diegans, driving people, dreamers, explorers, doers, politicians, bureaucrats, and particularly now, increasingly lawyers. So it's an interesting dilemma that these cities, okay, not just San Diego, but major cities face with these aging structures and what to do in the present sense. What would happen? What can be done? If it's one thing that I can bring from my experiences filming historical landmarks, not just in Jacksonville, Florida, where I lived before I moved here, but also here in San Diego, around San Diego, and various other places throughout the country. If it's one thing that I know is that a lot of times the pessimists can be proven wrong. But it takes a lot of people, a lot of effort, a lot of initiative, a lot of coalition building. And so I think we'll leave it at this and simply say that we are lucky to live in the San Diego area where there are people that are, to this day, still impassioned about doing the best we can to preserve historic landmarks. We can see it all over downtown San Diego. There was a point in time in every city's history where people walked away from something and then you're left to wonder what will go on next. And so we'll be at this for a while, and I'll be following it here on this channel. Once in a while, I'll poke my head in on the channel and keep you posted as to what's happening with the California Theater. So I would like to thank you for watching our 2025 summer show. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our channel. And if you're on Facebook, please join us at History San Diego on Facebook groups where there's even more San Diego history for you to enjoy. I enjoy bringing you History San Diego. It gives me the opportunity to get out and live the history I bring you here. I look forward to bringing you our Season 5 premiere in September. Our focus in Season 5 will be on San Diego in the 1860s, before, during, and after the United States Civil War, as the city starts to grow rapidly later in the decade and moves towards the bay. Please stay tuned. Take it easy. See you later.